Hey, welcome back to the Lead Counsel Podcast. This is your host, Tom Tona. Before we jump into today's topic, I just want to take a moment to thank the sponsors of the podcast. This episode is sponsored by Tona Law. They're not just another law firm. They're defining what it means to fight for their clients. We get a lot of attorney referrals from across the country. We pay fee participation in all jurisdictions where it's permitted. We focus on integrity, innovation, and relentless advocacy. Tona Law is proving that the business of law can scale without losing its heart. Do you want to see how a modern firm is built for impact and happy client referrals? Check out tonalaw.com. Mention again the Lead Counsel Podcast, and I'm happy to get on the phone with you. Keith Roman, Brian Glass.
In intake, the most important numbers are of the people that are calling, how many of those cases do we want? And how do we define that, right? In a way that Tom doesn't have to go in and track it. How do I draw the box so that whoever's doing the intake can say, this one is squarely in the box, this one is outside. Okay, these 10% of cases I need to go ask a lawyer about, right? So how many of those cases that are calling do you actually want? And then of those that you want, how many are you getting? How many are signing a retainer for you? My view is a healthy amount is 75 to 80% of the ones that you want, you should be getting. Now, here's the ghost in that number is how many people are calling your law firm or filling out a form on your website and you can never get back in touch with them because you didn't have a dedicated intake person. That's the number of cases you don't even know you're missing, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if you just do the math on that and what's my average fee value,
pays for itself.
Pays for themselves.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Reception is the one area that I tell people spend a lot of money on.
Yeah.
Always spend a lot of money. It's your first impression to the general public, and everybody wants to spend minimum wage on a kid out of college. Yeah. And I'm like, no. Pay an adult, and a real adult is worth that money.
Or have a phone tree.
Well, we have a phone tree, but you're losing people.
I know. That's what everybody wants, the minimum wage kid or the phone tree. You would be shocked, even as much as we teach that inside of Great Legal Marketing. If you called our member firms today, you would be shocked at how many law firms are hearing that message and still have press 1 to speak to Tom.
Yeah. Molly Huff, creating an excellent client journey. Cannot underestimate the importance of that. Talk about it.
Yeah. Most attorneys think that a client journey is what happens administratively. So it's we get the retainer agreement, I send these emails, and then we jump right into the case. And then, every attorney is going to say you have to communicate with your client and keep them up to speed. Like that's like base level advice that not everyone follows, but that's the advice that you typically hear. I want to move beyond that and help you think really creatively about how you are onboarding clients. Like, what can you use to make that experience that much better for them? That is your personal touch. It's not the firm's. It is your personal touch on this client.
Oh, I like that.
So they're remembering you. And then what this does is we want to turn them into super fans so that they are shouting your name from the rooftops and referring people to you.
Yes.
The other piece of the client journey is, okay, the case is ended. Most attorneys don't do much follow-up. They might send like a thank you note like 6 months later or something just as a touch point, but there isn't much beyond that. And there's so much money left on the table when you're not following up. And so really helping people just craft and think creatively about what can I do to just make this just a little bit better that will help me really stand out and provide an excellent experience for my client so that they turn into super fans. I get more referrals. The firm is really happy with me. And attorneys aren't really thinking about that.
Yeah. And listen, that's why I think this is genius, because as somebody who's had all these aha moments and does all of this, I mean, Jules, you could speak to it. How many times have I said, look, marketing is great, but delivery is everything, because it costs 5 times more money to get new clients in the door than to nurture your existing clients who will then become your biggest fans. Yep. And when you worked in the office, how many times did you hear me repeating the mantra, client first, client first? You got to create an excellent journey. It's not enough to just get them in the door.
Yeah. And I think especially as lawyers, it goes beyond just that sign retainer. Like, you have a relationship with these clients for years because cases can take a very long time. So if your client journey is not well built out and well thought out, people can tell and they'll just leave. Like, they have the ability to leave mid-case. I mean, in most instances, I don't know how it is across other practice areas, but yeah, it's very important.
Oh, yeah.
People are jumping all over the place. Yeah, and it's funny because like Juliet referred a case over. We take the case in. There was an attorney on it. I didn't know. My intake people took it in. Consent to change attorney sitting on this. Oh my God, that's a friend of mine. I got like an unspoken agreement. So I called the client. I said, look, I would love to take your case. I can't. And I said, but let me ask you a question. What's wrong? Like, this attorney's a good attorney, right? Because I believe in an abundance mindset. Like, I'm never going to take a case if I know the attorney's doing the right thing, just not communicating. Right. I texted my friend. I said, listen, you're not going to believe this. I got a consent to change attorney in. I'm never taking the case. You need to call this woman. Like, she just needs to hear from you. You're a great attorney. I referred the guy business. And so creating that excellent client journey is a lot of nuances to it, but it's really about, are you beyond that transactional mindset? Are you really caring about your clients? Even at scale, you can come up with systems and infrastructure to do that, right? Quick break to thank the sponsors of the podcast. This episode is supported by Tona Law, a modern law firm built on integrity and innovation. Learn how they're changing the game at tonalaw.com. Attorney referrals accepted from across the country. You'll see what it's like when you send us a case. You'll have some happy clients.
Alan Boulos.
When I asked you to describe yourself, you said you're not your average broker.
Yeah.
So what's the average broker like, Alan, for people that don't know?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to knock too many people or knock the industry itself. I just feel like the industry has changed so much, and that there's so many really big players out there that have been doing this for a very long time, and they continue to find success. And with a new guy like myself, or a newer guy like myself, and a more boutique brokerage like ourselves, we got to find a way to make ourselves different than everybody else. And I feel like one of the ways we do that is that we are your full service brokerage. We are, no job is too small. No property is too small. I'm, 7-8 years in, and I'm still doing 1,000 square foot leases because it puts food on the table. And I feel like you have a couple of big name brokers out there and brokerages that maybe they've earned it, quote unquote, but I feel like a lot of them turn away business because it's not that big fish, or it's not that big paycheck. And myself and my team, we find out that these small deals eventually turn out to be bigger deals in the future. And I think that that's something that my mentor told me. And that's something that I pride myself on, is that it doesn't matter who you are, how much experience you are, how big the deal is, we'll help you. And I think another thing that sets us apart from everybody else is that I feel personally like a lot of brokerages, they sort of like, once you sign on the line, it's done, right? Like, my job is done. And I don't feel like that, right? Like, I have an emotional attachment to my clients, to my tenants. We've been doing a lot of retail leasing, and I feel like, it doesn't stop at the line. You got to help these people in every facet of their business. And I know it sounds like, we're asking for trouble like that, but really, I feel like that's going to set us apart. Like, if you need a plumber, if you need a sign guy, if you need a lawyer, whatever you need, we got.
Take us through, and I love talking about the client experience stuff. Can you take me through your client's experience from start to finish? I'm sure you spent a lot of time thinking about what that looks like. And, you meet a new client. You have it systematized where you say, okay, let's do X, Y, and Z every time and develop the relationship a certain way?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on the client. I am also not your average brokerage because I'm very street smart, right? That's a lot of things. Like, I'm not the smartest book smart person, even though I could learn whatever. I'm more of a street smart kind of guy, so I can be adaptable in any situation with any type of person. That's part of the reason why I think I've been successful, is that I've owned a lot of businesses in some pretty rough areas. I've dealt with all sorts of different kinds of people. And I feel like it really depends on the person on how I'm going to play it. The thing that's risky about our business is that there really is no loyalty, right? You tell somebody, sign a tenant agreement. They're going to be like, well, why? Right? They don't understand. So the first thing I do is I gauge their knowledge of the business, right? Of the way that this transaction is going to go, let's call it a lease for now. If they've opened multiple stores, they know. If they haven't, they don't, right? A lot of people don't know that if I represent you and find something on market, you're not paying me. 99% of the time, the landlord's paying me. Or the seller's paying me in a sale. they don't even know that. They think that, like, I just had a client and I'm working on a pretty big lease with, they were like, so how much is your fee included in this? And most people would be like, oh, this is my window I'm like, oh, you don't have to pay me anything. They're like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, it's free. My service to you is free. I get paid by the landlord. They are shocked by this, right? So once I get them on a clear understanding and I understand how much they know, then I take it from there. The next step is, of course, finding them properties. And the first thing I tell them is, if you see anything when you're on the road, all I ask is send me the address and let me get access for you.
Right.
So that way they know that I have their back. They know that, I am going to put in the time for them. And honestly, it doesn't take much to find out that they could screw me if they wanted to. And I let them know that I know that, right? So after I find them a spot and go through, negotiate a lease with them or a sale with them, then I show my true value, right? Hey, I got a sign guy. I'm going even just by the lease that I'm talking about, this pretty big lease that we're doing with this startup. I sent them my sign guy, my real estate attorney, my interior designer, my insurance guy. And they're just like, what, is there anyone you don't know? No.
Right. You're like super connected, and that's super valuable. You become like a center of influence where it's great as long as people understand that they got to take care of you. That means everybody taking care of you. I do think staying true to who you are in any field is a superpower. 100%. Authenticity. I think that in selling, right, it's about authenticity, and it's about knowing your sweet spot, right? The most effective selling is caring about the other person. It's just knowing enough to let people tell you what they need and solving the pain points. Show that you care about the person you're talking to or their business, right? And that's crucial for building strong, long-lasting relationships. And that's what real sales is. Mark Powers.
As a shareholder that has a vested interest in both a great law firm and a great life, part of my great life includes having a business that does great work.
Yes.
So you might say, oh, you're just freeing yourself up to doing this. No, I'm freeing myself up. Yes, I want the returns from this business, but make no mistake. One of my greatest, most important goals in life is to have this business work brilliantly for our customers, our clients, and do it better than anyone else could do it. And so when you come to work in this organization, everybody is committed to that. You don't conflate that my great life interferes with that. No, it just...
No, you can do both. As a matter of fact, you probably have to do both.
And it gives you time to do your highest level work, is to be able to think and strategize about the growth.
Yeah.
And that's important. But we never give up. The people that are playing the game at your level, they never give up their commitment in the organization being great. And what to me that means is taking care of clients brilliantly, better than anyone else could do it.
To me, as a lawyer, you have an obligation. If you're great at what you do, share it with the world. Help as many people as you can. That's why I built a law firm versus just trying to do it myself. I can only help so many people in a 24-hour period. But if I build a real law firm and with high-level lawyering going on, then I can help an unlimited amount of people, right? Thank you for listening to this episode of Lead Counsel Podcast. Your host, Tom Tona. Go anywhere podcasts are distributed. Follow us. Leave us a 10-star review. Share some episodes with your friends. And thanks for listening. I appreciate it. Thank you. This episode is sponsored by Tona Law. They're not just another law firm. They're defining what it means to fight for their clients. We get a lot of attorney referrals from across the country. We pay fee participation in all jurisdictions where it's permitted. We focus on integrity, innovation, and relentless advocacy. Tona Law is proving that the business of law can scale without losing its heart. If you want to see how a modern firm is built for impact and happy client referrals, check out tonalaw.com. Mention again the Lead Counsel Podcast, and I'm happy to get on the phone with you.